Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat for the week of November 12th, 2015. I'm sorry, I'm in shock because the Nintendo Direct just happened. My name is Jose Otero. This is IGN's Nintendo Show. Joining me once again is Brian Altano.
Rap.
And filling in for the wisest German around, Per Schneider, who's not with us, is Callie Pleggy.
The second wisest German around.
Yes,
you're
this
also
is
German?
true.
My last name's German.
Close enough.
So that's why I'm replacing Per.
Yeah,
All right.
There is a ton of stuff
Welcome
to talk
back.
about. A
Thank
Nintendo
you.
Direct just happened. We are all, I want to say we are excited. We're happy
Oh,
for
yeah,
the most
yeah.
part.
I'm so excited.
Started on a great note, ended on a great note. Some in the middle, we'll get to that. But let's just get it out of the way. Twilight Princess HD. Announced. This was outed by Dana Binding in October. It turned out to be real. Are we excited about this?
Do you
What'd
want
you
it
think
now?
of it? What did you think of it first? Like just seeing it.
So it's not right off the bat. It's not the most beautiful looking thing they've showed us.
No.
You know, I will say, like, I'm very excited for this because this game never really looked great artistically. It was always a gorgeous game. Graphically, never really so much. It was a game that I got at the Wii launch that I ended up playing for 2 weeks until my component cables came in, and I plugged those in, expecting it to look so much better, and it really didn't. But in terms of preservation, I think it's awesome that a lot of people are going to get to play this game for the first time. It's definitely not as stunning as Wind Waker HD. That being said, I want to see more. Twilight Princess has some of my favorite temples and dungeons in any Zelda game ever. So it's a really cool idea. I think the Link, the Wolf Link amiibo thing is a real cool thing too. It's a nice touch. The amiibo support carries over to Zelda Wii U in 2016. So yeah, there's some cool stuff there. It's not a knock it out the park type of thing, but it's, you know, they do a lot of singles and doubles during the directs, and this was a triple. So I'm excited for it.
Okay. Callie, your thoughts based on what you saw.
My first thought initially was, what's going to be the Swift sale? You know, with Wind Waker, we got an enhancement to something that was like a major gripe for a lot of people the first time around. And, you know, some people complain about, you know, the length of Twilight Princess, not the length
Or
itself,
the
but
opening
like
specifically.
the
that
opening,
took an
right?
hour to get to like.
I need a
make
swift
progress.
sail through that tutorial.
Exactly.
Fast
so,
goats. That's the move.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be so cool.
Speed
actually,
goats.
speed goats.
Yeah.
Speed goats.
Yeah, that's my first thought is, are they going to improve that aspect? Is it going to be, because obviously it wasn't visually that impressive to me. I mean, because of my reaction to when you said that, but I'm not super like, this isn't like, yeah, I can't wait to replay this if
Sure.
they don't enhance something
It is interesting
about it.
though. It's been how many years since this game was out?
8
years. That's a long
9?
time.
Yeah.
And you know, I really
2006.
I look back on a lot of that game as a certifiable classic. Like there's a lot of really good stuff there. There's some weird kind of fetch quest stuff. I think that and I don't want to. It's weird that going into spoiler territory on a game that's been out for 8 years. But there's some stuff in there when you turn into a wolf and you have to basically find bugs in towns that could be a little quicker. So I'm totally with you in that I'm excited about where this is going visually. I'm more excited about sort of the tweaks and streamlining stuff that they do to it, a la Wind Waker.
Exactly. You basically said it better than I could have, because that's my big takeaway is I want to see Wind Waker type improvements.
Like the Triforce fetch quest stuff we saw.
Exactly.
Like what's the version of that in terms of finding bugs and collecting stuff here in this game?
I am really pumped about that Wolf Link amiibo though.
Yeah, he's really cool.
I love the Zelda amiibos. So
So then, at least for me to weigh in, I mean, I definitely posed to this panel how much I thought they didn't need this game in March or in the first quarter, if that was the plan.
Did you go that far all the way out to March?
I don't know if I went that far out.
Because I know you didn't want it this year.
I just didn't want it this year. Like for me, the gem is still Zelda for Wii U, and we're gonna get to that. They showed that, but I mean, I'll take it. Like fine. Like I remember Pear's argument very well. We're talking about a system that needs games, needs first-party games, needs them in a relatively quick turnaround frame. I think my issue with Zelda right now, though, especially the Twilight Princess and specifically remakes, is that why is Zelda the token child, the poster child for remakes at Nintendo? Mario, Metroid, I mean, I can go on. Like, there's so many franchises. Like, what is up with the franchise care at Nintendo? To me, like, I get it. Like, hardcore gamers care about Zelda. I care deeply about the Zelda series. It is the one game that will always bring me back to a Nintendo platform. I've said that plenty of times. But I've had a lot of Zelda remakes in the past 5 years. I didn't really think I wanted another one, and I'm going to play this one. I'm eager to see it. One thing I think we missed was it doesn't look like it. It looks like it is supporting the controller, the GameCube controller configuration. The footage they showed, none of it looked like it was motion driven. Link is left-handed again,
Right.
which was the way he was on the GameCube version, which was the original version of that game. The Wii version, everything was mirror reversed, and remember they added then motion controls for the right sword swing.
So are you saying that anyone who played the Wii version is going to have to play a flipped version of this game as of right now?
I mean, we don't know if one of the features is you can play with motion or not motion. I mean, that would be cool. I'm curious to see how they integrate the gamepad into this experience. Specifically, like with Wind Waker, I felt like one of the other cool things about it was the way it took advantage of the gamepad. The way you were using it for inventory, the way you're using it for maps, especially in a game like Wind Waker, which was all about like charting the uncharted waters. It felt like the gamepad was a good place to do that. But I want to then roll back to I'll play it, fine. I'll take it. I mean, I have no choice, and I'll be excited for it. Let's get that out of the way. But why is Zelda the poster child
You're right.
of remakes
we've
at
got
Nintendo?
We've got an Ocarina of Time, we got Majora's Mask, we got Wind Waker, and now we got Twilight Princess, which means that, and it kind of, I mean, to a lesser extent, we saw ports of every one of their Zelda games in the meantime, and we saw a semi-sequel to A Link to the Past.
We got Mario Galaxy, a game that I remember when we sat here and talked about it, and I said, okay, the Wii version's good enough. If you had given me the choice, I'd probably have taken an HD version of that game, not to contradict myself, but okay, let's say any Wii game was up for grabs right now to be remade. I'd say point to a Mario. Give me a Metroid game. Why this? Why
I'd even go back to Mario 64, which is a game we saw on the DS, which arguably was worse in a lot of ways, control-wise. Not arguably, definitely was worse control-wise. Had some more expanded content, but you're right. I mean, we're seeing a lot of Zelda remakes. Now, I want to ask you this: like, I know you play. You go back to the 3D Zeldas a lot more than I think anybody I know. Have you played through Twilight Princess recently?
Actually, I just started it up a week ago.
Really?
And I was doing the opening tutorial, and I was kind it again.
You just finished it.
And I was just finishing the tutorial when they went and announced the HD version. No, most of it was driven by that I had gotten 40 hours into that game and then took a big break and wanted to kind of connect the dots, revisit it. You know, we got a big Zelda coming this year, so all that was fueling my ideas. I mean, whatever. It's Zelda's 30th anniversary in 2016. We knew that. They're going to use this as a marketing term for this game. That's fine. That's where I was with that. And I'll play it. Like, I'm there. But my thing is with Nintendo rarely does remakes, and whenever they do, they seem to address key criticisms about that game in question. Yeah. I mean, people want Sunshine. Like, what? Why is Mario Sunshine ignored? Why is Galaxy ignored?
Oh, I'd be so happy with Sunshine.
I think it's because this does feel like a direct response to the fact that Zelda for Wii U was delayed. This was I feel like this was a stopgap decision that was made in lieu of that delay. Well, I think if Zelda Wii U is on track for spring or whatever it is, or end of this year, whatever it was originally in their minds on track to deliver on, you would not be seeing this decision. Whereas Mario is sort of, we just got Mario Maker. I think they feel like Mario fans are satisfied for a little while. I think as like a 3D platforming Mario fan who absolutely loved 3D World and saw how gorgeous that was, like take some of those assets and bring them over to 64, bring them a Sunshine. Like, remake those games too. It doesn't have to be a one or the other thing. I'm glad that Zelda games are being remade. I think it's possible to support both, and I think everyone knows the Wii U would only benefit from a kind of more robust library, even of remakes. But yeah, you're 100% right. I want to see more Marios get the HD treatment, and they don't.
I will throw one more thing out there. Why wasn't this good enough for E3? Why was the existence of Twilight Princess something we had to wait until now to hear about and be excited for? That's the thing. And I'm not trying to say there's something like terrible behind that thinking. It's just that I feel like at E3 they walked in with almost nothing. Yeah. And we walked out kind of like,
I mean, if for me, and I was like, well, we don't have Zelda Wii U, but we have Twilight Princess. Like, if I posed that, I'd feel really embarrassed. Like, oh, this just sounds like we're just kind of really trying to cover ourselves up. So that could be a reason that wasn't left for E3, because it just kind of sounds squirmy. Like, also, we don't have the one thing you wanted, but we do have this.
I think you're totally right. And that's why I do like the way they balanced it today of sort of like, here's that game, and a lot of people are like, oh, where's the new one? And they're like, well, here's the new one too.
Well, but you could have done that at E3. Like, I still think you could have pulled both driven that excitement and gotten people happy about that.
Yeah,
I do feel that way.
But
you also, if it wasn't ready to show, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. If it wasn't ready to show, and I get that answer, right? It could have been like Nintendo doesn't like to show games until they feel they're ready to show. For example, Metroid Prime Federation Force is a perfect example of possibly too early to show. People didn't get it and they flipped.
Yeah.
Although I've never seen a reaction that harsh in my time in the
for
press.
almost anything.
Yeah, that was
anything.
Yeah,
that was like Mass Effect 3 ending, like caliber of like a hissy fit.
Yep.
I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, but just to go back to the point, you know, it could have been a logo. It could have just like, I know they don't like to do that, but it's okay. Like it almost feels strange to me that this has to be so driven by we want to show you what it is. Sometimes I don't think you need to. Sometimes just that promise will keep people excited. And then you can come into November and talk about something else.
No, I feel you on that. I've never been wild about the it's a logo thing. And they've done that a lot, especially with third-party support. I mean, they've done that for like the last 10 years of just shown logos that don't actually amount to anything. I mean, like BioShock Vita was a logo that Ken Levine held up, and it never amounted to anything. Not to say that Nintendo's going to make a false promise and not deliver, but Nintendo's also in the business of doing 6 little E3s a year, which means that you can stack the deck really high at E3, but it would have made today's showing just a little bit less impressive than it was. And they have to spread those announcements out and keep the audience activated because they don't really have a lot else, honestly.
Right, exactly. It seems like their perspective is less one big announcement or set of announcements and more keeping people engaged throughout the year.
The singles and doubles, right?
Right.
It's a baseball metaphor, I think. I don't.
Sports.
You got it right.
You did.
Right.
You got the
you got
baseball, shortstops and things. Yeah, I do know a lot about baseball, actually. It seems like because they've been stepping away from E3. You know, they're not as big a presence. At least they don't have a press conference.
Well, they aren't
really.
as aggressive.
They're not as aggressive at E3, and I think part of that is kind of maintaining. It's like the 6 small meals a day instead of 3 big meals a day kind of thing.
Right.
They have that approach.
No, definitely.
So it makes a lot of sense. I mean, for us, it's like, oh, E3 was so disappointing in a lot of ways, and you could have brought this out. But I do think that their strategy is a little more.
I also think you're right. You do it.
out.
You do it now in conjunction with Star Fox and some Splatoon DLC and the new Zelda footage, and you go ask for a Wii U for Christmas, and we're going to give you some stuff to promise you that that's going to be an investment that was worth asking for.
Yeah.
You know, or buy it for yourself. However you get your or holiday, whatever your gifts are, whatever you do.
If you don't have a new 3DS yet, maybe that's your incentive because all these games are coming out.
Then possibly the message is if you are investing that you are going to have something to tide you over until NX materializes or that they talk about it some more, which, you know, 2016, a lot of people have written it as the year it's coming out. We don't know that.
One of the things
Could just be the year they talk about it.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you guys about is on the PlayStation side, they throw around those stats all the time about HD remakes and how there was 75% of the people who owned a PS4 didn't play The Last of Us or Uncharted. So those HD ports were worth bringing over to that brand new huge audience. The Wii U numbers are obviously much smaller, and I'm wondering, of the people who own a Wii U, how many of them have never played Twilight Princess? Like, is this a nostalgia bump for people like us in this room who are like, I love that game, I can't wait to go back to it? Or is this actually going to be like, this is the thing that will hold you over to the new thing? This is this big meaty Zelda
The attach rate on Zelda Twilight Princess, to my knowledge, was low considering the install base. But
really,
that game, Twilight Princess, was a launch game at a time where it was impossible to get a system. So there is that to consider. However, it was released later as a budget title, you know, as part of like Nintendo Selects or whatever they call it. Nice sound effect. I do want to point out that Zelda Wind Waker HD on a console with a 10 million install base sold 1.62 million copies.
Which is great.
Which is, considered pretty good. Like a 10% attach rate is not anything to sneeze at, apparently. So by all accounts, if you're giving people Mature Link in a form earlier in the year and people have the system, maybe that'll drive them to buy it.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, we'll see. But definitely good on them to put it out as the first thing. Definitely got a lot of people excited. I do think it could look better, but I'm also not ready to drop judgment on that. Only because when Wind Waker was first shown, it didn't look that hot. They were very they were also almost timid in showing Wind Waker when they first showed it. And I'm glad they showed as much footage as they did. This game comes out in March. Plenty of time to find out what else is going on with it.
We're like judging it based on, you know, clips ripped from a live stream that were, you know, through our web browsers that were re-uploaded to, like, it's sometimes you just got to sit down and see those games. You're right. You're right. The same way about Wind Waker, where it's just kind of like, oh, that looks pretty good. Then you sat down in front of a big ass TV and you play that game. And
absolutely.
Like, wow.
So Wolf Link Amiibo, very cool. You both hit on that. Triforce. Wait a minute. New Zelda.
Yeah.
Was 13 seconds.
Yeah.
13 seconds.
There he is. There's that
footage.
excited Zelda, man.
Dude, 13 seconds of horseback riding. And I'm just like, yes. Yes. Please. Like tomorrow.
Did it have a Wii U logo specifically on it?
No, they just say it.
Just say 2016?
They just say Wii U.
Good.
Yep.
Coming to Wii U in 2016. The transition was very smart, going from Twilight Princess to that. Talking about how Wolf Link Amiibo will transfer data, which makes me wonder, are those games directly related? Twilight Princess and Zelda Wii U, or is this just cool marketing? Probably the latter.
I mean, I think this, they will incentivize that purchase in some way to say you're doing something here that will possibly carry over to this game. That is the way almost every video game is positioned now. There's, companion apps or web browser things, or like I'm playing the Star Wars Battlefront app now that unlocks credits that I can use to buy guns in the game. Like, I think it's very smart, and using an amiibo to carry stuff over like that, pretty smart idea.
Yeah, and you see that with Happy Home Designer, and you will see that with Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival as well. So it's not like they're strangers to that or anything. That is those games tie together. You can upload your house designs.
I was surprised to see the gold base on it, because that's very Smash Brothers.
It's true. Yeah.
Makes you wonder too if it unlocks something in Hyrule Warriors as well. But they didn't say that. They probably would have if it was the case. 1 rupee. That's pretty good. So what did you think of the footage?
I mean, yeah, it's great. It's nothing outstandingly new, but it's.
I'm looking at you like,
well,
no, I'm kidding.
No,
Go,
I mean,
go.
so the reality is at this point it's familiar, right? It's not at the point now where I'm fatigued by seeing those things, because we've only seen a few pieces of that game, and they've been the same few pieces, and we've only seen them a few times.
Probably a different angle of the same field.
Right.
Remember that field? We're over there on this hill.
Yeah.
If they bring us back to that field in 3 months and then show us some goats in the corner again and they're like, goodbye 2016, then I'm going to be upset. But right now it was just long enough where it was like, we didn't really see that game this year, did we?
Yeah.
Was
Reminder. What, you mean Zelda Wii U?
Yeah.
No, we didn't see.
We saw it last year at the Game Awards.
And at E3.
And at E3.
It was shown at E3 for the first time.
This year?
Last year.
So nothing this year until right now.
Nothing this year. That's why it kind of bummed me out. Twilight Princess and that game could have been shown at E3, but I don't want to get into that. We'll talk about it. We're probably right. It wasn't ready. Footage, what'd you think? Callie Pleggy?
I kind of feel the same as you, Brian. It's like we said, the same field, but I'm still so taken with it. I'm really looking forward to that game. I adore the Zelda series, and so obviously I'm going to get hyped up about it. But I still wish I could see more, which is probably the intent, obviously.
Yeah, the promise.
Yeah, the promise of seeing more of this game, but it's so pretty.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I need a different field. I'm not going to lie if you're listening, Nintendo, but man.
No, not a different field, maybe a town.
Yeah, or a dungeon. We got in the booth to record Rewind Theater off of the 13 seconds. We just keep looping it and talking about it and looping it and talking about it. And I think it is the most excited I've been in a while.
I will say nothing has been as strong as the first reveal for that game.
Yeah,
of just Link coming in on horseback and fighting that whatever that thing was, the pea hat, the weird new pea hat, which was just stunning and gorgeous. But the games looked better and better every time we've seen it, and I think it's like this was a cool sort of show you that there will be dungeons, there'll be temples, there'll be boss fights and everything like that, but just chilling in a field is pretty damn gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, chilling in a field is like my life dream, goal. Chilling in a field's the best.
It's a really good thing.
If that whole game is me wandering around in a field with Zelda music playing,
you guys are hippies. It's official.
I want there to be things to do. Don't get me wrong,
but
I would love to just kind of experience it's the vista of it. It's gorgeous.
No, you're right. To me, Zelda is not just dungeon crawling and fighting in temples and climbing to the top of something and conquering it. Sometimes it's just sort of like hanging out and looking around and farming some bad guys for some cool seashells that you can trade in for something.
And that's something that an open world, if the sandbox is done right, can be very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Zelda can also be a Triforce Heroes quest, and there is an update. Den of Trials is coming out along with 2 new outfits. One of Fierce Deity armor, which is just Fierce Deity Link, and Lindbeck's uniform, which is really cool, or Linebeck, I don't know how you say it, but I love that he has the ability, Linebeck, he has the ability to look into a chest. I think that's really cool. Like that, keep it coming. If you're going to make it free for, it is free for Triforce Heroes.
That's awesome.
That's super great.
You can peek into chests so you'll see what you're getting.
Can you do it in town in that one guy's shop? and start snitching, because that would break that whole game in there.
Dude, I'm about to be a musketeer. Do you know if you grab enough bad material, they give you it unlocks another outfit that you need more of the materials you get from not getting the right chest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So get it wrong once in a while in case you get it right all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I found that game to be really fun and almost overwhelming with the amount of content there was. Playing through single player levels, playing through multiplayer levels, that was cool and all. But seeing that each stage had 4 separate challenge versions of that stage was already like a daunting task. And I flew to the East Coast twice in 2 weeks, which was like 24 hours on airplanes, and I'm like, I'm gonna really put a dent in this game and just unlock everything, and I barely scratched the surface.
They're tough.
They're not
playing around, and I think they're really good. I mean, it kind of shocked me when the reviews came out and there was so much negativity on that game. I didn't expect it, I gotta say.
I mean, I would say that when the game has very stark highs and lows. When we were playing together in multiplayer, it was some of the most fun I've had playing a game in multiplayer this year. Like, it was thrilling, it was fun, we were screaming at each other. Playing some stuff in single player or playing multiplayer online got very frustrating and cumbersome, but there's a sweet spot in there that makes it so good, and if you can find it, it's such a joy.
Yeah.
Agree. Yeah,
I think part of the negativity is sometimes people want something that's associated with a franchise to always be like that franchise. So I felt that way with Happy Home Designer too. A lot of people weren't super stoked on that, and I was like, just because it's not the same doesn't mean it's not also good.
Right.
And so that's kind of the sense I got from some people that I talked to about Triforce Heroes. Is some people were kind of like, it's not what I expected of the next Zelda
a friend
on
of mine
3DS.
flat out said, I can't take this seriously. Like, the minute it started, I was like, well, do you have to take them so seriously?
Why do you have to take it seriously?
I never understood that, because it's sort of like the games you just mentioned, and you make a really good point. Those games didn't detract from the goodness of their original versions.
Exactly.
Like Hyrule or Triforce Heroes didn't, or even Hyrule Warriors, didn't retroactively ruin the Zelda games that came before.
Yeah, didn't retcon anything.
Yeah, and like Happy Home Designer didn't ruin all those Animal Crossing games that I enjoy. It added something to it, and some of those games grabbed me, and some didn't.
Exactly.
But still, like, I'm happy they exist.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's nice to just, when they focus on one aspect, so Triforce Heroes kind of focuses on more like dungeony aspects, whereas Happy Home Designer focuses on the designing aspect, and it's kind of cool that they're offering that for people who are really gung-ho into one part of a game.
Right.
Yep.
And that's not for everybody, obviously, but I think I like it.
It's a welcome change.
Yeah.
It's something that shouldn't be just immediately dismissed.
Yeah, so I like that they're still supporting this game with free downloads. I feel like I'm going to accidentally call it Trials of Osiris.
That's Destiny talk for you.
But that's so cool that they're still providing support to it.
And
Look
it's free.
for that December 2nd. All right, so then Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. Any excitement here for that game?
I mean, the last Mystery Dungeon I played was, I think, either on the original DS.
So do you want?
I mean, I'll give it a try.
Okay.
The whole thing about you get to live in the world of Pokemon, I'm like, sold. Hey, that's the real goal.
That's your field.
Yeah, that's.
You want to chill in.
I'll chill in a field with Pokemon. There we
Like
go.
a
It comes
Snorlax.
together. Yeah, that's my ultimate life fantasy. But so I'll give it a try. I mean, the Mystery Dungeon games are. This is another example of something that's distinctly different from the core series.
Yep.
So
possibly not for everyone, but still.
Yeah,
give
and
it a shot.
this is one that I'm not really sure will be for me. I'm super into the competitive aspect of Pokemon. This is very different. So I'll give it a try, obviously.
I just picture Callie sitting in fields from now on.
Surrounded by like pink Pokemon.
Or pink ink, like Splatoon update ink. Apparently there was a Splatoon
Good
update
segue.
getting announced. Don't do that. Where 2 new stages are coming, 40 pieces of gears, bandana, so you could be all gangsta.
Yep.
And winter items. So I'm excited for this. I'm still playing Splatoon.
Me too.
Surprise, we have a Splatoon review update happening here on IGN. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this, you may even be watching/reading it. A lot of you asked for it, and we decided to acquiesce. So if you don't come check it out and see the new verdict, I did my job. That's all I got to say.
Right. People were fighting for that, and you delivered. So thank you for that.
It was an uphill battle internally, too, because we don't normally do that.
Of course not.
Yeah.
I mean, because that opens a lot of doors throughout time for games that have been changed or updated. Games are growing things now, so that's really fascinating.
Well, even when we reviewed it, like, we kind of knew this was going to be a very different beast because the promise of August was made before the game came out.
Right.
So it was like, well, then what do we do? And so here we are.
The game launched strange in the way that you reviewed it, but you knew within a couple of weeks that it was going to keep growing and changing.
Yeah,
more and more stuff.
And
was
my
coming.
review would be irrelevant in like 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you
Mahi
did it
Mahi
anyway.
Resort. Yeah, there you go. So Mahi Mahi Resort, and there is a museum type level. I'm forgetting the name of it. Something Museum de Alfonso, I think is the name of it.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It's an
but
Italian
these are both
museum.
really cool, obviously. Very cool looking. Gear looks cool. Looking forward to continue to play that game.
Yeah.
My only complaint left with Splatoon really is that Splatfest is fun, but I feel like the reward of Splatfest just isn't enough for me. I want something
I
more
wanna
permanent.
Keep the T-shirt.
Please.
What's up with that?
That'd be super cool.
My Squid Kids outfit is so important.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I play with Katie.
Callie Plaggy, fashionista.
Oh yeah, she has this cool sweater and some glasses and these like creeper shoes. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
But I play with Katie Casarda, who is one of our editorial designers, and she is so into that outfit aspect. Like
Nice.
she changes her outfit for the perks, obviously, but also like it has to coordinate.
Right.
It's very important. So
Accessorize.
yeah, it would be really cool if we got to see some benefit, because a lot of people like dressing up their little Squid Kids.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool if you got to keep your Splatfest T-shirt or something.
Absolutely.
I also, one of my complaints with Splatoon still, and I noticed this, I thought about this when I saw one of the new maps, the Mahi Resort, is like I kind of get frustrated when I'm playing the same map for however long. It's like the 4 hours that
the rotations.
Yeah, the rotations, especially if I don't like that map. Like we talked about, we don't like Camp Triggerfish.
Yeah, not a fan.
And Mahi Resort, that's hard to say for some reason.
Mahi
Resort.
There you go.
Can't do it. It's one of those where like suddenly new platforms will raise and you have to scramble to cover them in ink.
I heard you shout across the room.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna suck at that.
No, I didn't say I was going to suck at it. I was going to say it was going to make me mad.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
I was going to get real mad
Retraction.
playing that, and so that just made me think of my one complaint. Still, is the rotation system is not my
it'd be nice
favorite.
if you could vote on a set of maps and not just be trapped into two.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Super Mario Maker has an update. What? Woo. Yes. So now you can go on the internet, and there is a web portal, and you will tie your Nintendo Direct account.
Now
to
you can go on the internet.
The
you
future.
can tie your Nintendo Network ID to it, and it will essentially, you can build a queue of. First of all, you can search for stages, and it's a much better search than what's offered in the game. Hopefully they revamp that too, but who knows?
Oh, Nintendo's growing up so fast.
Oh my gosh, what are you talking
What do you mean
about?
fast?
This kid's,
No, I know.
No, it's 19.
I
It's
know.
about time he went to college.
Right? Get out of the house and get a job. No, it's just, I think this is sort of a taste for things to come with all the My Nintendo stuff next year and the integration between smartphones. I feel like we got a little peek at that today. And also, even if it's none of that, selfishly, I'm really excited about this because that was one of the things in Mario
Discovery.
Maker that was lacking, you know? And streamlining that and bringing it into, like, the whole idea of being on my laptop and watching a YouTube video of a cool Mario Maker level and seeing the course ID in the corner and typing it into a separate tab on the browser and going home and having that queued up to play is perfect. That's exactly what people need.
That is such a good point, because when I first heard about how the update works, I was like, oh, you have to go on your computer and do it. But that's such a good point, is because I'll be watching some level that somebody's made or somebody's
Yeah,
playing.
you can find a level anywhere and
you
add
can
it to your queue.
super easily add it to the queue because you're already on your computer. I'm not watching these Mario Maker levels on my Wii U.
Yep.
So that's an excellent point. Now
Yeah.
I'm even more excited about this. This is so great.
Yeah, I started watching some Twitch streams for Mario Maker, and it'd be fun to see, oh, that level actually does look cool. Let's put that aside, see what we can do with that. Or just try that myself. All right, we have, they had updates on upcoming games that are coming out within the next month. This Friday, Amiibo Festival comes out. That's the Animal Crossing spin-off game. We saw footage of that. Ultra Smash, Mario Tennis. More detail on its Amiibo support, but ultimately still not a whole lot of exciting.
I didn't fully understand what that Amiibo support was, by the way.
So basically, an Amiibo can be your online partner. You can train them like you would a Smash Amiibo.
Oh, cool.
And they'll be your partner online or in doubles, locally, whatever have you. You sort of save stats and things to them.
Right.
We just got both of those games in the office, so we'll be playing them and talking about them soon.
Absolutely.
Are you reviewing?
I'm playing Amiibo Festival.
Got it.
Yeah, and that also has the training aspect.
Yes.
You can, but for some reason mine didn't work last night, so I had to figure that out.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, but,
you'll like add some certain things to it.
Yeah, we just got that, so that review won't go up tomorrow, but it'll go up soon.
Got it. So they also showed Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is looking, really great. We have had access to playing it. We talked about it a little bit last week, but That game's looking strong. If you are a hardcore RPG fan, this is absolutely something you should be paying attention to.
You scared me about this game, by the way.
I did.
Yeah, because you told me that you saw something. You lost a fight 100 hours in.
Oh, yes. They loaded up a 100-hour save file, in Talathia.
And that makes me nervous because 100 hours into anything, you should be a god.
Right?
And I'm like,
Just
wait a
god
minute.
status.
Yeah.
There's still challenge then? Like, there's a lot there. That's a huge game. So
Yeah, Jose was like, oh, yeah, 30 hours in, you unlock a skell. And I'm like, you unlock a new thing 30 hours in, like a new thing that changes completely how you play, and that scared me. And I was,
that's a huge daunting game.
I don't have time for that. That's terrifying.
Ain't
but
nobody
also
got time
so
for
cool.
that plaguey. Whoa.
It looks really good though.
But
It's
if,
really
if you're
cool.
on a Wii U and you've skipped a bunch of other stuff this year, or you're not really interested in some of the other giant open world games that have come out, or you just want just a really awesome, huge, hardcore RPG,
yeah.
This could be it for you.
you might
awesome.
you might lose your life to this game.
If you don't have a whole lot else to play, 100 hours is not that bad.
Yeah.
That's
so.
true.
So it feels like a big theme of this Direct was a lot of bouncing between Wii U and 3DS, as Directs will do, but there's a lot more happening on 3DS right now in 2016. A bunch of games got dated in 2016 when we get to that point. Mario Paper Jam, Final Fantasy Explorers, Fire Emblem Fates, Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is already out on consoles, but it is coming to 3DS in 2016. Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow versions, which Callie shed a tear over. I do want to talk about that for a minute. We've talked about it on this program, that the Virtual Console, the thing that would always, in my mind, held Pokemon Red and Blue reissues from Virtual Console was just the idea that you couldn't trade.
Yeah.
I don't think they would do it.
Right.
That's what they fixed. There's wireless trading going on in those games.
I've wanted this for so long.
Yeah.
And it opens up a lot of possibilities with Pokemon Bank as well. Because the farthest you can go with Pokemon Bank is 3rd gen. That's the farthest you can get Pokemon from if you're really, really determined and crafty.
Absolutely.
And so it'd be super cool to be able to get these Pokemon that are kind of harder to get in the newer games, get them in your Pokemon Bank, and actually get to do something with them.
Absolutely.
I mean, Zapdos, for example, is really viable competitively. That's kind of hard to get. It'd be cool.
To give a little peek behind the curtain, we were all streaming the Direct here in IGN in our editorial pit, which is about 30 adult children standing around a big television, and that Pokemon news came on, and people just lost it. Just yelling, clapping, cheering. You looked like you were going to faint, Callie. It was amazing to see.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Good place
how
to be.
How do you guys feel about that, though? Just that once again in 2015, close out 2015, start of 2016, the story will still be you're going to be doing a lot more on 3DS, but you'll also have a couple of Wii U games. So the Wii U games that were announced, I mean, we already talked about Twilight Princess HD. Star Fox is coming out in April. We've got Pokken Tournament, which is also so far the nebulous spring. I mean, am I missing something? I think that's
Bunch of
I think
eShop
that's it.
stuff.
eShop stuff, Fast Racing Neo, SteamWorld Heist. On top of Xenoblade at the end of the year, but I'm talking more 2016. Whereas there's a lot more happening on 3DS.
Fast Racing Neo does look awesome. We haven't really talked about that game much.
No,
on the show.
it does look really awesome.
They're making the F-Zero that no one else would make.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
no, absolutely.
they even has the announcer from F-Zero in it. It looks awesome, looks gorgeous. Go look up videos for that game. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of, like, it's always been weird to be a Nintendo fan like that, right? Like, you kind of have to have two systems to be a Nintendo fan. You're constantly ping-ponging between these two worlds.
Yeah.
I will play. I'll play like 2 or 3 Wii U games in a row, and then I jump on my 3DS for 2 games, and then jump back to Wii U, and they've
even for long
This
stretches.
This has been a thing for me for a really long time, ever since I had the Game Boy. If you think about Pokemon Stadium on N64, you had the compatibility thing where you could do you put your cartridge in, you could play with your Pokemon from your cartridge. I would like to see that on Wii U. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of remakes, we want HD Pokemon Stadium.
Absolutely.
I want it. I would be really pumped about that. I mean, that's kind of been the Nintendo thing for years and years. Is you have to have the handheld and the console to really.
You remember their whole
third
3 pillars thing, right?
But third parties kept things going, whereas I don't know if indies have been keeping it going enough. I feel like some indie titles come out that I'm just like, yep, definitely have to play that, and then some come out where I'm like, I'm not convinced I really need to spend time on this.
Well, something like Kerbal Space Program, which was
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It was sort of a marginal hit on PC a few years ago. I mean, it wasn't like a billion seller or anything, but it did really well. It made some big waves, and a lot of people were really into it.
It's cool.
Coming to the Wii U in 2015, 2016 or whatever, it feels like a little late to the party. I like seeing stuff there to sort of flesh out the library. But on the flip side, like, I mean, all in all, it's good to see more games in one spot. But all in all, I don't know if that's really, that kind of stuff really moves the needle, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you asked earlier about, you know, are the people who are going to play the HD remakes nostalgia oriented like us. You know, a lot of those people bought Wii U because of the promise of Zelda and stuff. Yeah, you know, if you're not super nostalgic, I don't know if you're going to get a Wii U because you don't know what else. There's not a lot else that's compelling you besides that nostalgia factor. I always think of Smash Bros as kind of like the gateway drug to a lot of Nintendo games.
It's a really smart gateway drug to a lot of Nintendo games. A good point.
And so, you know, people who buy it for Smash, maybe if they've never played Twilight Princess, they'll jump on it for that. But I don't see a lot of the other things like the indies or anything really compelling people who don't have that nostalgia factor.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a game-by-game basis, right? Where like Kerbal, we're definitely excited for. Typo Man, I'm not sure yet. I don't really know Typo
really
Man,
weird
so I have to play that
and strange
to try it out. And I'm curious too, and I guess that's going to be our job to just kind of sift through and see.
Yeah.
The
consoles had a weird life cycle.
Has been weird.
I feel like just as it really started gaining momentum about a year or two ago, that's when the NX stuff started popping up, and it sort of took people who were kind of on the fence about it to just say, now I'm going to wait. Because I still get tweets every single day like, should I jump on a Wii U right now? And I'm like, yeah. Like, if you jump in right now, you're definitely getting a better library than we all did when we bought it at launch or whatever. You're getting you're getting a few years of really awesome games. I could name 10 games off the top of my head that make the Wii U fantastic today. But in terms of next year and beyond that, I'm not really sure. So, and especially if them saying that the NX is coming next year.
Well, they're talking about it. They're talking about it.
So who knows? I mean, I would say like Black Friday deals, if you're on the fence, like there's enough there to.
Dude, that Smash Splatoon bundle, like,
great. We've been asking for that for a long time, right?
Yeah,
that's the one to get if you're going to get one of them.
$250.
That's what the internet says. They haven't set a price. Nintendo hasn't set a price, but let's say that's the price. $250. That is a value.
$250 for Wii U, Smash Brothers, and Splatoon.
Like awesome. Super strong.
Those are two games you can play for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then you run out and buy Mario Kart immediately, and then you that's the trifecta, and then you can cherry pick from there what you want. If you're a Zelda person, hang on until Twilight Princess, or run out and get Wind Waker HD if you can still find it. I don't think that game's out of print yet, but we'll see. Ton of fun stuff.
I really liked Captain Toad too. If that's your kind of thing.
Yes, Captain Toad was really cool.
There's a lot of reasons to jump on a Wii U.
And even if those games are out of print, download them digitally.
Yep.
They're all in the eShop.
So then the game we haven't talked about that's coming to Wii U is Star Fox Zero, which they showed a new trailer for. They also showed some new gameplay footage of it. Looks like they've done a little cleaning up since E3.
I felt the same way.
You know, on a UI front and even on a graphics front, I just felt like I was looking at a slightly better game than what I had seen when we saw it last. They dated it. That's awesome. We'll be there for that. But overall impressions, like, are you higher or lower on Star Fox these days, or still in the same place? Like, you still haven't. I feel like we still haven't seen enough new things about Star Fox to go nuts about.
Everything they showed today was much quicker paced, which is the Star Fox that I love. My worry was that they cut an awesome trailer for something that's largely a little slower than that. Because a lot of the stuff we played, even the Chicken Walker stuff, was kind of painfully slow. I think when that game's really working well and you're soaring through the clouds in an R-Wing and you're shooting stuff down, X-Wing. Got Star Wars on the mind.
Good job.
I heard that.
Everything's kind of clicking and it's all working. But I think you're right in that it did look a little prettier today. I didn't really notice the UI stuff, but once you pointed it out, I was like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, they redid basically the score and all the stuff going on there. I'm excited to play it. It's funny, though, for them to still not really be acknowledging heavily that you don't have to play it on the gamepad, or at least that you don't have to use the gamepad view quite as lined up with the TV.
Good.
Or that you can turn off motion is another thing that it feels like they just don't say enough about. But regardless, it's looking cool. I'm excited for that. We will definitely be looking forward to it.
Amiibo support.
Yeah.
Yep.
They snuck that right in the corner.
Yeah. Just going back to what you're saying really fast, I don't think if I were them, I would really point out heavily that you can't use the gamepad, because you don't want to point out that the gamepad's not super necessary.
It's true.
Even
It's a good point.
people prefer playing without it. I don't know if that's a smart strategy for them to just be like, and you can play it without the main draw of our console.
Yeah.
Do you remember Star Fox on 3DS? How they were like, you can play with motion controls. That was all their advertising.
Yeah.
But then, like, the second you got into that game, one of the first things you did was turn it off.
Yeah.
Because it was hard to play like that and 3D, and the 3D was so good that
Well,
it was.
I see a lot of people who get angry at us as a show whenever we kind of put down motion controls and the game doesn't. You can switch it off. Yeah. So I don't think a public acknowledgement is the worst thing in the world, but I agree with you. It does maybe make the box look weak.
Yeah, I do think that motion controls plus 3D is really weird because the old 3D before and the new 3DS is the 3D is a lot better, but before you had to keep it in one place. So those things are really asynchronous.
The best word to use for that. Yeah. There was never a time when that was a really good idea. Yeah. You know, I'll gladly take one or the other.
But I'm not anti-motion controls in general. I just think in that case it was a mistake. But
yeah, for sure. If anything, I think it's baffling that Nintendo that did so readily knocked it out the park last generation with motion controls kind of stepped away from that to an extent. I mean, we've seen Wii controller support with a bunch of first-party games on the Wii U, but for the most part, it's really been a bunch of games that you could just play on any console. Yeah. That being said, a lot of the Star Fox stuff that we saw and played with the second screen, I found to be more distracting than helpful.
Yeah.
So if there is a version of that game that exists in the retail version they ship where that stuff's pulled back a little bit and you can play it a little more traditionally, I won't have any complaints.
Okay. Awesome. So April 22nd, we will be Star Fox is here. Yay. So get excited. I swear
it looked a little prettier today too.
I did. I thought so as well. Then
now I was going to say we were saying for a while that's a game that you should put back in the oven for a little bit, and I think they did, and it's going to be better because of it.
Yep. All right. So what's left to talk about? Hyrule Warriors Legends. You really liked having Linkle join the cast. Talk about this.
The first official female Link is so exciting because Link has always been fairly ambiguous.
Yep.
If not vaguely
androgynous.
Feminine.
I mean, Link has androgynous. Thank you. That's definitely ambiguous is not the word I was looking for. I came out with
Is he an elf, a boy, or a tree?
I had asynchronous and I couldn't get androgynous. But so Link has always been fairly androgynous. So it's obvious to me. I'm like, why didn't they do this sooner? I mean, we talked about this like a while back with Triforce Heroes. You know, you have Link in a dress. Why not just have a female option? And that's always exciting for me to finally get in a series I love, finally get to be able to have a girl there. I talk about this a lot. That's always been really important to me. And so I'm super, super excited about that. That makes me so happy. Yeah,
they missed the boat on Triforce Heroes, but they're definitely not going to miss it on Hyrule Warriors. Linkle was initially outed as part of the art book that came out in Japan for Hyrule Warriors. They're called Zelda Muso, where they showed basically early concept art. So I'm really glad that they own that. They didn't show any Wii U footage of it, but I would assume that character is accessible on the Wii U version of the game. Right. Just want to put that out there. So it turns out, looking at the Direct, that and I don't know if I said this earlier, but that the 3DS is the RPG box in 2016. Yeah. Like it really is. Fire Emblem Fates. Let's see. Dragon Quest 7, Dragon Quest 8, Project X Zone, Bravely Second at some point, Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Like, I mean, you know how many hours this all adds up to?
That's the whole year. That's all of 2016 right there.
I love RPGs, but that's the scariest thing about them is you can play them forever. Yeah. And there's so many. I don't know how I'm going to split my time between all of them.
Yeah. I mean, is this a good thing? Like having all these RPGs in one place?
Sure. And I think that it's a good mix of things too. Like you have the fact that Paper Jam's part of that list is kind of cool. It shows the diversity of those games.
Exactly.
You know? Personally, I'm always hesitant to jump into RPGs because I don't know if it's going to be something that I grab for 8 hours or lose 100 to. So for me, I'm less enthused about that. I'd rather see a bunch of cool platforming games thrown in there too, like non-chibi robo platforming games, like fun, awesome platforming games. So, but for you guys, I mean, that's your Paper Jams. So hop on in there.
I think
plus Pokemon Red Blue. Sorry, just wanted to say that. I just wanted that reaction.
The most important RPG. I think for me, I'm thinking, I play a lot of games. I try to think of how can I maximize the amount of games I play so I can experience all these. I think for the average person who has a 3DS, out of this offering, they'll pick one or two.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to have that diversity so everybody who likes different kinds of RPGs can get that. So I like that they're supporting a range from Paper Jam to Dragon Quest. So.
I do feel like I don't see enough RPGs on console nearly as much as I did at one point. Like it feels like this handheld has just been blessed with so many. And let's point out, I mean, Dragon Quest 7 and 8, 7 has been done for years. That thing came out in Japan, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. 8 just recently came out this summer. But regardless, it's good to see those back because Dragon Quest has been missing, and we talked about this on the show before. But that game has not had a huge impact in the West. But people who love that series love it, and they love it for great reasons. Like it's a fantastic series, so that's really exciting.
As for the console thing, I think it's because console games have an expectation, or very large console games have an expectation of how they're supposed to look graphically, and that doesn't always work in direct parity with the sort of simplicity that a lot of RPGs have. That aren't like full 3D RPGs. So they make more sense on a handheld because you can make a game like that without people going like, I don't know if I would play that on a 55-inch television, but I would play it on a 3-inch screen for, an hour or two on the train every single day.
Yeah, even Final Fantasy Explorers, which is basically hybrid RPG meets Monster Hunter, like that game, like that looks cool. Like that's going to be another fun one to just sink a ton of hours into. So I guess we should wrap this up with the biggest of all big things, and that is that
Bill Trinan can eat an entire...
No, the high jump is coming to Wii. No, that's a good one. But that Cloud from Final Fantasy VII has joined the Smash Brothers roster. I mean, what? Like,
talk about that palpable energy in the room at IGN, and you hop on Twitter and you just see excitement and a couple people being like, there's no Final Fantasy on the Wii U. Like, just a great, that brought a lot of people just out of their shells. It was awesome to see. What a huge announcement. Like, that music is awesome. Like, seeing him split a stage in half with his sword, just...
Odin did that, but yes.
But that was great.
One of the summon spells. Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I must confess, I've never played a Final Fantasy game, mostly because I didn't know where to break into. Well, yeah, because I'm young and I didn't know where to get into it.
I'm just kidding.
I didn't know how to break into it. It's intimidating. But even me, someone who's totally ignorant to that franchise, that it's not a trailer. Is it a trailer? What'd you call it, a trailer?
You can call it that.
No, it was a character trailer.
The showing of Cloud got me like, because he was so cool, and everybody was just.
So when the music played, I jokingly said to Andrew, Cloud or Sephiroth? Who do you think?
Right.
It just got added because to me it was like, wait, what? Like it took a second for the song to even set in because it's been a while since I played 7. And you're talking about the RPG that was like the zeitgeist, during the period, the zeitgeist of RPGs where everyone all of a sudden not only had interest, but 7 was one of the most successful games of its time. And one of the highest budgets of its time too. Like it was crazy. I feel like I had never seen anything like that before. But yeah, like I just... Cloud, like, wait, what? And this is not the Smash Ballot character. That is the most interesting thing to me because they did not say it. They never said this had anything to do with Smash Ballot. To me, that says that at this December presentation, they're going to say who got in from that. This, to me, says that I think this says a lot about Sakurai. Like, if he is the guy who is sort of signing off on yes and no on these characters, and I assume he is. I mean, let's think about this. Pac-Man. Ryu from Street Fighter. Now Cloud from Final Fantasy VII.
Sonic's in there too. Like this is that 90s game jam. Like this is that thing that we grew up yelling at each other about in classrooms and schools and lunchrooms and on the courtyard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is now a thing where you can beat the hell out of each other in this game. It's so smart. It's so cool to see this sort of big mishmash of all things video games in this one. It really makes me want to bring Snake back.
That's what I was going to bring up. I think that is someone's job, is to call up Konami and say, look, we need to make this happen. Like, why not?
This is video game Expendables at this point. Right? I mean, it's like, get the gang together. Get Snake in there. He's having a good year. Get him over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. At first I was kind of like, that comes out of left field. Okay, Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, the game that is not on Nintendo consoles, but that was a really cool character trailer.
Yeah.
And you make a really good point. Like, you get to embody those arguments you had when you were a kid. Like, you want to just duke it out and smash.
Sonic's better than Mario.
Yeah.
All right, prove it.
We're in our 20s. You want to fight now?
Glove slap.
Solid Snake could
cool.
beat Cloud in a fight. All right,
God,
let's
they
try.
should bring back Snake.
Yeah, I was gonna say, whoever's cutting those character reveal trailers, give them twice the amount of donuts you fed Bill Turner today, because that guy needs a raise, or that girl needs a raise. They're doing an awesome job. The way those things, I don't care who it is, they get me excited. I'm not even the biggest Final Fantasy VII fan, but watching that reveal, watching that text scroll across the screen, and watching his feet come in was just like, this is awesome.
To me, it was the action, like just watching limit breaks, all of this fan service. If you watch too, when the way they cut that trailer, like there are little moment, like Sakurai trailers or Smash Brothers trailers specifically have these moments interwoven that are sort of capturing something from that character specific to that character's universe, or something about that character. Like, for example, they have Cloud laying down, and instead of Aerith near him by the flower bed, it's Zelda.
Yeah.
And they have Pikmin on the side posing as the flowers, like in that room. And I'm just like, the staging on this is so clever.
All those chocobos at the end too.
Yeah, and the chocobos at the end. There's definitely a chocobo Mii Fighter costume coming. Just bravo, like on that, and on this idea, like, I would be very surprised if someone did not like this idea. And I know Final Fantasy VII has nothing to do with Nintendo, least of all Wii U for that matter. But man, what Smash Brothers is turning into with this version of the game is just, I mean, where do you go from here? Like, where? When Smash Brothers makes its appearance again on NX or whatever distant future that happens, what could you? What do you do? Like, I don't know what's left to be done.
Yeah, I don't know. Right?
King K. Rool? No.
Well, then again, they've set the bar astronomically high for this game, and people are still playing the GameCube one. So,
well, yeah, Melee's really big in competitive Smash.
Yeah, the resurgence of 2013.
Yeah, and everybody thinks of Brawl as being the anti-competitive Smash version of Smash.
Yeah, they have their reasons.
Sure.
I mean, there's
of course.
reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play competitive Smash at all, but where could it go from here? It's really, there's so much going on in this version. I don't know what they're gonna do.
I will say my amiibo shelf is about to collapse.
Yeah,
it's like every time I'm like, okay, Mewtwo just arrived from Japan. He's on my desk right now. I was like, I'm done. I'm caught up. And they're like, no, you're not. There's a bunch more.
Yeah.
Lucas is coming.
Ryu's coming.
Ryu's coming.
So at least 3 more are left, right?
Yeah. Plus whoever got in from the Smash ballot, which I don't think Cloud is. Like, I'm sure people challenge me on it, but they didn't say it.
Right.
If it was, they would have said it.
I hope the Smash ballot one's super cool, so we can get a super cool amiibo out of that.
Who's left? Master Chief. That's it. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
If I could buy a Master Chief amiibo, I think that would break me. I can't.
That would be so weird. I think you would see people physically pass out from that news. You would see people be like, no, it just
die.
Master Chief and Kratos.
Yeah, so Phil Spencer said Banjo-Kazooie is up for. I think there was a tweet about that he tweeted in support of. We'd absolutely do
Bring
it.
back Diddy Kong
Racing.
Yeah.
Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah.
Diddy Kong, they already made him an amiibo. What do you want him in a car?
She does. She wants him in the propeller and the plane.
I liked Diddy Kong Racing. It was
Thank
cool.
God. So the other day we needed you like a couple months ago in this office. There was a whole revolt over Diddy Kong Racing.
Versus what, Mario Kart?
I don't remember, but I just remember
because the answer is Mario Kart's the better game.
Well, the answer is obviously Mario Kart, but I did enjoy Diddy Kong Racing.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
So I was just thinking about Banjo.
Marty turned coat. Marty was the biggest Diddy Kong Racing, best racing game ever. Marty Sleva, I got a beard. And now he's all like, nope, that game's no good.
He turned around on it.
He did.
Good.
All the years I know that guy at 1UP, he turns coat now.
Man, I'm really fascinated by that debate's been happening for a very long time, by the way. And it's also happened with Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64. And I think on both sides, Nintendo made the better platformer and Nintendo made the better kart racer. And Rare fanboys can... I'm not going to say the words.
Okay, and we're done with this podcast.
Love you all, either way.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Way Chat. We're a weekly show on IGN, but we're not the only show on IGN. In fact, Brian Altano is part of the Up at Noon show that's here on Thursdays. It's live. It's awesome. Callie Pleggy is a host on Anime Club, so don't miss that. We've also got Podcast Unlocked, Podcast Beyond, all kinds of stuff for you. So make sure you check those out. Also, you can email us. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what you think of the direct. Email us at nbc@ign.com. Tell us your thoughts. Were you really happy with this thing? I thought they did a great job. It was a bit too long, but there was a lot going on for sure. My only concern, not enough Wii U for me yet, but we'll see. First party Wii U for me yet, but we'll see what the future holds. And as we get closer to Zelda, I'm sure they'll be talking more about other things.
Yeah.
Lastly, you can find us all on Twitter. You can find Brian Altano at
Agent Bizzle.
You can find Callie Plaguey at
Inky Dojiko, INKYDOJIKKO.
And you must turn that into like a song.
Yeah,
I do a little dance on Anime Club.
I stared.
If you watch Anime Club, I do a little dance sometimes.
Okay. All right. I don't do a dance, but I am Jose_Otero. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back next week with more Nintendo Voice Chat.